Hello everyone, welcome once again to my channel. It's your boy Luis Portelles, and for today's video we have a very special one because we are going to be talking about my favorite national costumes from the Binibining Pilipinas 2022 presentation that just occurred. I think it was yesterday if I'm not mistaken, and I'm really excited because honestly I am just mind blown by the quality, the creativity, the craftsmanship of this costume. So I just, before we get into the video, want to give a very big shout out to all of the creators and the candidates as well who put so much work and effort into this particular presentation. For the purpose of this video and also staying concise, I have selected 15 candidates who really stood out the most based in my personal preferences, and that's what I will be presenting to you today. But please, anyone who didn't make this list, don't feel like your costume wasn't outstanding. Truly, there was not even one costume that I didn't like. So, if you enjoyed this type of videos or find some sort of value in it, don't forget to leave a like so that it gets recommended to more people. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one almost every single day. And last but not least, let me know in the comment section if you agree with my topics, my comments and feedback, and of course, anything else that you would like to express. Without further ado, I will see you with my topics right after the intro.
Be strong.
Alright, so let's get right into it, but I will tell you guys, these ones are not in any particular ranking. I'm going from candidate number 1 to candidate number 40, just in that particular order. So we're just going to appreciate the ones that stood out the most for me personally. The first one on my list is Binibining 1, Stacy Gabrielle. I honestly love this national costume so much because it automatically quickly made me think of Cuba, where I was born and raised. In certain villages, when people don't have easy access to water, we would have people that we call aguatero, that they will just travel with big buckets of water just to give to those who didn't have. However, after doing a little bit of research about Stacy's costume, I found out that actually this is for something called taho, which seems to be a dessert in the Philippines. So definitely not what I had in mind at first. And I really appreciate the creativity, the attention to detail. They went and covered the buckets with stones just to make them stand out. And I also love the costume. What she is wearing feels very fashion forward. So Stacy, you nailed this. Next on the list, we have Binibining 2. Her name is Graciela, and oh my god, when this came out on stage, I was watching the presentation and my jaw just dropped because this is so gorgeous. This representation of Virgin Mary, I'm speechless. I think that truly the attention to detail here is what makes it stand out so much. I feel like over the years we have seen many representations of the Virgin and also a lot of different religious references. But when you put so much time and effort into a piece, it really shows, and I believe that it makes it stand out. It doesn't really matter what part of the costume you're looking at. There is so much to digest, so the costume is really an experience, I will say. And also for those of you who watched the visual presentation, you will see that she also had a lot of energy. The way that she sold the garment was just amazing. So right from the beginning, this was a standout for me. Next on the list, at number 3, we have Binibining 5. Her name is Karen Lori Mendoza, of course. And once again here, I'm really appreciating the creativity of this costume because I love what they did on the upper part of it with the shoulders. They created a structure that makes it feel like a little house, like it's protecting Karen, and I'm pretty sure that there is a message behind all of this. I tried to go and find some references to this costume, like the story behind it on Karen's page. However, I didn't find anything so far. But to me personally, this speaks about agriculture. I don't know if it's related to the people who work in the fields or perhaps to something related to the mythology in the Philippines. It's really the train of the costume that gives it away for me because we have all of these grass-like materials that just makes me think that this is in some way an homage to the workers in the fields. Please correct me if I am wrong. Next on the list, we have Binibining 7. Her name is Graciela, of course, and I just love this national costume. Possibly one of my favorites, I would say. Let me get this right. This is a representation of the Tikbalang, which is a creature in Filipino mythology. I have never heard the story of the Tikbalang, of course, but to me, just based on this, is giving me some sort of like ghost vibe, like one of those creatures. You know, in mythology we have a lot of dragons. We have creatures that sometimes are a blend of certain species and then with human, and I think this is what she's going for because We see that she has very exaggerated hips. So she was padding right here. My girl really said, you know what, y'all gonna get hips. And I also have to give her props because she even they came out with these pieces for her leg that would allow her to walk almost as if she was half human, half horse, I'm assuming here. On stage with the movement and the way that she was interacting with the audience, it was amazing. Definitely from head to toe, one of my favorites. Next one on the list, we have Binibining 8. Her name is Nicole Budol, Hip-on Girl. We all know her, and of course, her national costume was really out there. I feel like this is a reference to the Festival of Gigantes in the Philippines. I've seen some references before to this particular festival, but I'm really in awe. Like, I don't have enough words to express or even how to describe this entire thing. It is truly stunning, amazing. The photos of Nicole's national costume have been circulating online for quite some time at this point, so this is not the first time that I see the costume. However, I was really wondering, how is she going to move with this? Because the gigante in the back is really big, and I'm wondering, you know, this must be really heavy. So yes, it is truly show-stopping, but will she be able to work with it, like to present it on stage? That was definitely no problem. Nicole was really able to sell the presentation. She looked amazing while doing that. And in a way, this is very grand, if you know what I'm saying. Rumor has it that she also spent 300,000 pesos, sana all, for this entire thing. So we really have to give her props for putting her money where her mouth is. Next on the list, we have Binibining 17, Chelsea Fernandez, one of my favorite Binibinings in this particular batch of girls. And at first, when I saw her national costume, I was a little confused because I was just seeing like so many different elements, so many different references. I was asking myself, is this a religious representation? Is this like a warrior? What is going on? And then when I went to Chelsea's page to double check the background of the national costume, it is actually a representation of her city and the history of her people, representing both social and economical development of her city. Then after seeing that, it all made sense. I love the proportions of this. I love how she really thinks outside of the box and she doesn't just go with the obvious, which is a headpiece to add height when it comes to the national costume, but then she even used the shoulder piece, or this part that she has in the back that goes all the way up, even to the sides. This is something that adds when it comes to her dimension in every single aspect. And of course, we know that Chelsea is a professional. She was able to wear this very well on stage. One of my favorite presentations for sure. Moving on, we have Binibining 15. Her name is Nika Bernardo, one of my favorites in this particular presentation as well. I think that what Nika came out with is kind of a representation of the Santa Cruzan, which is a festivity that we just also saw a few weeks ago with the Binibinis as well. But for me, this is really a standout because I love that the stand that she is moving with her. I don't know how you guys call this part that she is moving, but in Cuba we call this carroza. It's just so elaborate with the flowers, with the butterflies. There are so many different colors: green, white, red, yellow. I mean, it's just stunning. And Nika herself, I'm gonna tell you, I think that Nika looks the best that she has ever looked in the competition so far in terms of her styling, of her makeup. Please, whoever did this to you, keep working with that person. And also, I just want to give props to the costume itself, what she is wearing. I think that this is a beautiful dress. You can see the detail, you can see how professional the team was, and it feels very elevated. It doesn't feel like a costume, it actually feels like fashion. So Nika, please keep going, this is amazing. Now let's move on to Binibining 24. Her name is Patricia Go, and oh my god, this is definitely, if not my favorite national costume, probably one of my favorites. I really just love when fashion references nature, when it references things that we all have seen, but give it a new layer of creativity and kind of reimagine the entire thing. As soon as Patricia came out on stage, I saw a butterfly, and everything with the way that she was moving, with the way that she was presenting herself, she was able to give me that fantasy. And I think that this is really the purpose of a national costume, is to tell a little bit of a story about where you come from, your tradition, your culture, or something particular about your locality. And as soon as she saw this, I just knew that there was something linked to butterflies and where she comes from. I'm also going to comment here the headpiece, because I think that although it's a very small detail in this national costume, it just really elevates the entire thing and it just makes it feel so luxurious. She looks amazing, like a goddess, and this is exactly the level of execution that I'm expecting from these girls at this point in the competition. We're just 2 weeks away from the finals, so this is what you need to bring to the table. Moving on, we have Binibining 27. Her name is Jessica McEwen. This national costume is truly stunning, and what I love about it, the first thing that caught my attention was the symmetry of it. I love how the bottom part of the dress, which has this bell structure, also has the same pattern at the top of it with the shoulder piece. There is clearly a story going on behind this national costume, which at first I didn't get the reference, but after going to Jessica's Instagram once again, just looking through her photos and reading the captions, I understood that this is a homage, like a tribute to the workers and people who manufacture things with aluminium, such as calderos, what she called it on Instagram. That's also something that we call it like that in Cuba. And after getting some of those informations, I instantly understood the references on the national costume. I also feel like the gown that she is wearing itself is just so beautiful that it could be a gown for the pageant itself if you just remove maybe like the shoulder part. And overall, I just have to give her props, because I think that she was able to come up with something that looked extremely finished, extremely refined, when in reality is talking about something that is so raw and so rough, such as, you know, working with aluminium. We know that this is really hard work, but she was able to represent it in such a beautiful and just perfectly finished way. So keep it up, Jessica. Next one on the list, we have a controversial one. Binibining 28, Gabrielle Baciano. We love Gabrielle around here, and for me, honestly, I just love the idea of her national costume. I know that a lot of people were upset because of this, thinking that it was blasphemy, that, you know, lots of different things, but I personally believe that when you are coming from a place of goodness and when you just want to pay tribute and you just want to honor and represent, there is nothing wrong with these things. We see so many different religious references all over the place, especially in national costumes. I think that at this point, I have already talked about a few candidates who had religious references, so I don't see why Gabrielle will be an exception and why her national costume would be so controversial. I think that this is a very creative take. I have never seen anything like that, and of course I wasn't surprised when I saw that she was trying to represent a frame, but I was really surprised to see even the bottom part of the national costume, she adapted it so that it looks like it's standing on columns instead of seeing her legs. In terms of attention to detail and just going, you know, grand and all of the way, and I don't think that this is necessarily the most elaborate national costume, but it's definitely very effective, and I think that it got people talking, so sometimes that's also a very good thing, you know. So Gabrielle, don't change anything about this. I personally love it. Moving on, we have Binibining 30. Her name is Jasmine de Maculangan. My dear friend, I just loved this from beginning to end. Actually, in reality, I had already seen photos of her national costume because she posted this a while ago on Instagram, and she explained that when she was deciding on what she was going to wear for the national costume presentation, she wanted to represent the logo of Albay, which has pretty much all of these colors. It looks like feathers. So I think that this is a clear representation of her locality. But at the same time, this was happening, all of this was being planned during Pride Month, meaning that this is also an homage to the LGBTQI+ community. And I just love the visibility because she was able to tackle two different subjects with only one national costume. And she did it in such a beautiful, creative, professional, colorful way that I just love it. Definitely one of my favorites. Moving on, we have Binibining 31. Her name is Ileana, and as soon as I saw this, I just had to automatically put her on my list because I think that this is such a beautiful execution for the national costume. I love how they integrated different materials, especially the bottom part of the national costume. I feel like they constructed this structure with local materials, and you can also see it as well in some of the parts of the leg that she has. I also love that they try to represent, or at least reference to, the Filipiniana as well on the shoulder part. And overall, when you look at this, whether it's on the headpiece, whether it's on the arms, even on the legs and the shoe, there is so much attention to detail. The color story, I am buying it. I can understand what she is trying to reference here with nature, with fauna, with, you know, the fields, and so many different things that are characteristics of the Philippines. And if we just take a moment to appreciate Ileana herself as well, she looks stunning. Just look at her face. Alright, we're almost going towards the end, but let's talk about Binibining 34. Her name is Christine Opiaza. Of course, after killing the press presentation, she comes out with this magnificent national costume. I just love the references here to the pearls, to the ocean, and just the way that she represented everything. I mean, in such a flawless way. I think that I'm seeing Aphrodite here with the way that she was posing and just the way that she was showcasing the national costume. It is very interesting from any side that you look at it, whether it's from the front, the sides, the back. There are so many different layers and aspects that you can pay attention and focus on that truly makes you want to go and visit her locality. But I think that the reason why this is truly a standout for me is because a national costume like this one could become really complex really easily, but it shows that they just built it around her. They wanted to make her shine no matter what, no matter the reference. I think that Christine herself remains the center of attention at all times, and that's what I love the most. Next on the list we have Binibining 35, Diana Maki. I just love this national costume once again. I have mentioned this a few times that I just love big dimensions, you know, when the candidates really think outside of the box and the proportions of their bodies. This is exactly what Diana went. So grand, so elaborate in terms of storytelling as well. I don't know if you guys saw the video, but Diana was also one of the girls who was really selling this national costume with her movements, her facial expressions, the way that she walked across the stage. It was very beautiful to watch. And I love to see that she also included some storytelling aspects within the national costume itself. So within the gown that she is wearing, if you look at the bottom of it, you have characters, you have birds, you have what seems to be like a farm, you have the fields. And it's one of those pieces that I feel like truly belong at a museum. This could be like an educational piece for the kids, just to teach them about the culture in the Philippines. I just love it so much. Last but not least on this list, we have Binibining 40. Her name is Roberta, of course. One of my favorite Binibinings as well on this entire batch. And honestly, this is such an outstanding, beautifully done national costume. At first, I thought that this was a religious reference. The first impression that I got after seeing the national costume. But when I went to Roberta's Instagram and read through the description of the national costume, you actually understand that this is a representation of the place where she comes from, different representations of the environment and the natural places where she comes from, and also the need to preserve and protect those locations. Just looking at this costume by itself, I think that it belongs somewhere like at the Met Gala. The creativity, the attention to detail, the craftsmanship, even just the volume of the train, the back part of the national costume, it's incredible. This is one of those pieces that seems two national costumes in one, just because of how many elements they included within the costume. And it shows that the entire team really wanted her to have a strong message, a statement for the moment that she was gonna come out. And she better have one, because she is Binibining 40, the last one in the competition. So when she comes out, after watching all of the other ones, the audience is a little tired. So she really needs to have something that will shake them up a little bit. And this was very successful at doing that. So there you go, you guys. Those were my 15 standouts when it comes to the national costumes this year for Binibining Pilipinas 2022. Let me know in the comment section, what do you think about my comments and my picks? Also, if you want to talk about someone else, feel free to tell me about them in the comment section down below. While you're at it, don't forget to leave a like on this video so that it gets recommended to more people. Subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one almost every single day. And last but not least, come here and give me a hug. That's a little tradition on the channel. You know that I love you and I appreciate you. Thank you for coming and spending a few moments out of your day here with me. And until I see you next time, everyone, please stay safe, be kind to one another, sending you all my love, all my kisses, and I'll see you in the next one.